Hey everyone, Chang here. This is the skill building video series. For today's topic, we're going to focus on logarithm. Now, when we talk about logarithm, there's really just two parts of logarithm that we need to focus on or do well in, right? The first one is the definition, which we're going to focus on today. The second one is going to be the properties of logarithm, which we're going to focus on in a future video. Now, the definition of logarithm is actually quite simple. Even though it's scary, it's actually very simple. Here's the thing. Logarithm is just the inverse of exponents. What that means is that you can actually write it interchangeably. So here's an exponent right here, b to the y power equals x. Now I wrote it this way because guess what? The common notion of logarithm looks like this. Log of b to the x, or b of x, equals y. Now, here's the thing. Notice this. I wanted to highlight that. B and b is the same. So that means the base, whether in the exponent form or the logarithm form, is the same. The difference is that x and y is going to be interchanged. In this case, y is the exponent and x equals whatever. But now we're going to put the x here and y on the other side of the equal sign. So knowing this, and this is one of those, it's better to memorize and practice and just get very good at it, and it will help you in the long run. So let's look at the first one. Log 2x equals 3, right? So 2 is our base. That's good. We know that. Now, we know that these guys are going to interchange. This one's going to go on top for the y, and this one's going to be on the other side. So if we're going to rewrite this as an exponent, what we're going to have is basically 2 to the third power equals x. Once again, they switch, right? So right here, we're just finding x. Very simple. X is 2 times itself 3 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 again, 8. Okay, let's look at the second one. Same concept. 1 over 3 to the fourth power equals x. Well, 1 over 3 to the fourth power is just basically 1 over 3 times itself 4 times. In other words, it's actually the same thing as just 1 over 3 to the fourth, if we remember our properties of exponents. And that's just going to be, well, 3 times itself 4 times is what? 81. So it's going to be 1 over 81. Let's look at this one. This one's a little different. Notice, remember, the x is always inside the logarithm. Now the x is on the other side. But this interchangeable from exponent to logarithm will help us. 4 to the x power equals 16. From our experience, 4 times itself, how many times becomes 16? 2, right? So in this case, x equals 2. Let's look at this one. 3 to the x power equals 1 over 9. Now this seems a little scary and confusing, but don't worry. Remember, 1 over 9 is the same as 1 over 3 squared. That's exactly the same. Well, in that case, we already know that it has to be 3 squared, but the 3 squared is at the bottom. So what we're going to have to do is make it 1 over. Now, remember our properties of exponents. In order to do that, the exponent has to be negative. So in this case, x is just going to be 2, but the negative version of it. And therefore, that's going to be 1 over 3 squared. Now let's look at this one. The x is in the base, but it doesn't matter. Just remembering this will help us solve it. Well, log of x, in this case, x is the base. X to the power of 4 equals 16. All right, so some number times itself 4 times equals 16. Hopefully at this point, our experience tells us right away. That's 2, right? 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 again is 8. Times 2 again is 16. So x equals 2. And let's look at this one. So here we have x to the second power equals 1 over 64. Now remember, 1 over 64, if we want to see what number times itself, well, I guess twice. In this case, it's going to be 64. It's going to be 8, right? So that's technically 1 over 8 squared. Well, if that's the case, what can we do? Well, 1 over 8 squared is the same as 1 over 8 quantity squared. So we know that x equals 1 over 8. Now for these three, it looks a little more complicated, but still, same concept. You guys can follow along. Thank you for watching this video on logarithm. Hopefully just going through problems makes it a little easier, and this last 3 problems, even though very complicated, is not as confusing. See you in the next one.